hello. Welcome to the Good Rookies Show. What's going on, y'all? We are so excited to see you again for another wonderful week. I know for those like me who are in Toronto, we got pelted down, waistline pelt, okay, palancing of snow the last week and a half. So I hope everyone was able to stay warm. I know everyone got some muscles from all them shoveling. Right, as we had more snow in the last week than we had in 2024. So much snow that fell down in Toronto. So I'm your host, Nelly J, along my co-host, Randy Holcomb, is in the building. So welcome to the Good Rookie Show, y'all. We're so excited to have you. And Randy.
Yo.
Ran or Randy. We call you both on this show. I have a little trivia, you know what I'm saying? You cover the Run daily, by the way, guys, on X Spaces every day from 10 a.m. to noon. I want to know, can you guess, okay, and this is as of February 14th, can you guess the most, or which combo has the most assist combination this season? This was actually done by Cultural Hardwood via Automatic NBA. So big up to you at Automatic NBA. So I'm trying to give you some time to think about it. Which combo in the league has the most assist combination this year?
Okay, and I'm trying to understand the question. So are you asking me who was the two guards or the two teammates?
Any two players. Doesn't have to be based on position. But
okay, any two players on the same team.
On the same team where there's the most assist combination. So back and forth could be a guard to a big to a guard to a wing. Doesn't really matter, but which
back and
combination?
forth, like that combination. Like, so this
assist
is
combination. So, and now assist between each other.
Yeah. We call that buddy ball. We call that buddy ball.
Okay.
Yeah, that's buddy ball.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's playing the most buddy ball right now? Can I just?
As of February 14th, though.
As of February 14th.
This is of the All-Star weekend.
All right, cool. I'm gonna throw some combinations out there. Buddy ball. I don't know if the Cleveland Cavaliers would they be? Is that them?
So which two players would you say?
The two guards, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. No. This
is not between. No. It's in the total assists between players. This is the most passes to between another player for a bucket. Assist combination. So, for example, right? So, let's say Jalen Brunson assists to Josh Hart. They have 87 this year. Of Brunson passing the ball to Josh Hart. 87 assists. And they're tied for 19th.
Okay. Now I got you. Okay. So it's not buddy ball then. I guess that could be a version of buddy ball, but it's not quite.
Thankfully it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell buddy ball is.
That's an American thing.
Okay, cool.
So let me see. That would be finishes. Let me see.
When I tell you, you're gonna be so upset at yourself. You're gonna be like, how did I not guess this?
Jokic and...
So Jokic passing the ball to who?
Jokic passing the ball to Aaron Gordon.
No, not on the list. But Jokic is on the list 3 times for passing the ball to 3 of his teammates.
There you go. So he's clearly the guy.
He's on the list, but you got the wrong person. Which player do you think he's passed the most to be up there for assists? Like
Jamal Murray.
The most assists.
Jamal Murray.
First. That is the bottom of the list, actually.
Michael Porter Jr.
That's the third least. Michael Porter Jr. That's the 5th most assist combination of Jokic to Michael Porter. 113 assists he's gotten from passing to Michael Porter Jr.
Okay.
So there's another player that he passes to more has more assists to than Michael Porter Jr. And Jamal Murray.
I know. Christian Brown.
Yep, that's right.
Brown.
That is 4th. So Jokic is 4th and 5th on this top list for assist combinations.
Okay.
He's 5th for passing the ball to Michael Porter, 113, and 4th, Christian Brown, 114.
Brown. It's Brown. It's actually brown. It's the color brown.
It's pronounced brown, but it's spelled Braun. Okay.
Right.
American accent. All right. It's Brown. I'm joking. I'm sorry, Christian Brown. Okay. Funny enough, Russell Westbrook has the 6th most assist combinations to Nikola Jokic.
Sure.
So, can you give me the top 3? And if you can't, I'll list it, but I'll give you 2 seconds to give me the top 3.
Giannis, Dame Lillard to Giannis?
No.
Okay.
But that is 17th on the list. Yeah, they have 90.
That's 17th on the list.
No, right? You're like, what?
I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. Okay, Trae Young has to be involved in this somewhere. So Trae Young to...
I love this list.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Automatic NBA.
That's
this
crazy.
Is educating us all on the strongest relationships we see in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like it's
my ass. Let me see. Trae Young to oh man, the what's
Not
the
Capella.
No, he not in the 16 minutes that he's playing on a nightly basis. A shout out to all those people who fought you on him, talking about he was better than. Don't edit this part out too. We you know what I'm saying, we're about to start throwing slugs. Yeah,
what a dark day it was for that. For 2 days now, they're arguing.
Yeah, that was nasty work.
Nasty work.
I have no clue. I don't want to take much more time.
So I'm gonna break it down. So y'all, this was a fun thing. I saw this post and I said, wow, understanding, right, efficiency on a team, but when you have a strong relationship or a strong assist combination, that means that these two players are success. So we have Chris Paul and Victor, Mr. Wemby, being number one in the league for the most assist combination. I know you're probably like, what? Yes, they have 121 after the All-Star break. 121.
How could I not have guessed that?
That's what I said. I'm like, yo, you're in Texas. This is
How could I not have guessed that? That's crazy. I probably wouldn't have gotten that in. I mean, even if you gave me 1,000 chances with all the threes that Wemby shoots.
Was Chris Paul passing to Wemby?
Yeah, I know, but he's catching primarily and shooting threes. He's not he's not necessarily I guess he is a lob threat, but he's
gotten some lobs. He's gotten some, it's not always just,
But he's always inching backwards. Boy, that boy be inching back to get them feet behind that 3-point line. Every time you look up, man, he's walking backwards.
Man. I don't know.
Go ahead, though.
Okay, so number 2 on this list is...
That wasn't even number 1?
They're Chris Paul and Wemby are number 1.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
So number 2, the second strongest assist combination, James Harden to Zubac, 116.
Okay, they would have never gotten that.
I know you wouldn't have. The Clippers, yep.
Yeah, that's news. Congratulations to them. You know what I'm saying? Zubac.
Number 3, this one you wouldn't have gotten because I know I did not even think about this. Malik Monk to Sabonis, 115.
Shout out to Malik Monk, man. Yeah, I'm with that, man. Shout out to Malik Monk, man. I be getting a lot of pushback from my man Chunk about how good Malik Monk is, man. I really believe in Malik Monk. I believe that if he was in a different jersey, that he would be able to impact the team. In fact, I think that if he was, and I'll say this publicly since I said it privately, if Malik Monk was on that Oklahoma City team, he would be the second best scorer on that team. Without question, he'd be the second best offensive threat. I don't know about necessarily the second best player, maybe the third best player, but the second best offensive threat. Shout out to him.
Okay. And of course, Jokic is 4 and 5, Russell Westbrook 6 to Jokic. 7 to 10 is quite interesting. So we have Jamal Murray to Nikola Jokic is 8th. 7th is LeBron James to AD. That chip ended abruptly in February. So they probably could have been top 5 if, AD wasn't traded. Darius Garland and Jared Allen is 9th, tied with Jalen Brunson to Mikal Bridges. So they're both tied at 9. So 9-10.
I get that.
They both have 97 assists. But I do want to big up James Harden on the list for multiple players. He passes the ball to Norman Powell, Zubac. We got Jokic on the list a couple times. We got Brunson on the list as well 3 times, and Tyrese Halliburton as well on the list. The Pascal Siakam tied for 11th, and to Miles Turner tied for 14th. So a couple of guys on here, unselfish players. Brunson also has Josh Hart, Cat, as well as Mikal Bridges. Okay. So Brunson really passing that ball out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just surprised I don't see anyone from OKC on this list. And you know what I mean? Like Boston too. And Boston as well. Boston doesn't have any top strong combination. So we have to evaluate, does having a strong assist combination or high volume of it toward 1 or 2 players on a team, is that successful? Because Boston, they're not on this list, but Jokic, Denver, they're known to pass the ball, right? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 combinations on this list.
Well, you know what? I think that there is to what you're saying, we call it We do call that a version of buddy ball. But with Boston, the ball is shared a lot more than probably some other teams. And in OKC, they got a guy. You know what I mean? They got a guy over there in shape. So I don't know if they necessarily need to pass the ball, or if he needs to be passing the ball to somebody else on that team. They just got to be ready to shoot it when they get an opportunity. But speaking of being ready to shoot it when given the opportunity, there is a list of franchise valuations out there that was put together by senior sports reporter Michael Ozanian. I hope I didn't butcher, my man. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry. But with that being said, there is a list out there, Nelly, or he created this list of most valuable NBA franchises in 2025. Being ready to shoot, I guess, is a premium because the Golden State Warriors are number one, $9.4 billion is their valuation. Second, almost $2 billion less. The New York Knicks at $7.5 billion. Number 3 is the Los Angeles Lakers at $7 billion. Number 4, the Chicago Bulls are at $5.8 billion. And number 5, shockingly enough, the Houston Rockets are at $5.7 billion. Give me your thoughts on that.
I'm kind of shocked about 2 teams on there, I'm not going to lie, because I would say 3 of those teams are in very strong markets. For the last decade, the impact of the Warriors, what they've done, pretty remarkable, right? And they've been number 1, I think, for a while. Knicks, they're always top 2. No one's shocked about that. But what I'm shocked about is the Bulls always being a very highly valued franchise. Now, you're from Chicago, so you're not surprised about this, but Chicago being 4th and the fact that Houston has cracked this top 5. That team doesn't have their WNBA team back or in that market yet, but they're a strong market. And thinking about these teams, all these teams have, these teams have had success. Top 3 had success in the last 5 years in the playoffs. Success in terms of just like making it, being in conversations, having all-star players in conversations. Sengun was an all-star this year. They haven't had one since before Harden left, right? Chicago Bulls, the last time they had an all-star, was it DeMar? Yeah, he was an all-star, I think, when he was there. So I'm just very surprised that they're top 5 in valuable franchises in the league. But, the top 3 teams are in their own realm, right? Like, if you're over $1 billion or more valuable than other teams, clearly this is why the Warriors were able to pay the extra, the bonuses and all that stuff with their salaries. The Knicks, the Lakers, right? They can afford to pay Luka and whoever else, LeBron. They have the money. Next season, there's a new media rights deal that's worth $76 billion in revenue. So that's a payout of $6.9 billion annual for each team.
Right.
I mean, if you're like, wow, they're getting paid a lot of money now, Rand, you can imagine how much more money we're going to be seeing teams make when it comes to paying players. But also, I'm curious to see who will be the next Golden State Warriors team, Rand, in the next 10 years. And here's what I mean. In 2015, so 10 years ago, can you guess what team was the most valuable franchise? 10 years ago? Yeah.
It was either I would venture to guess that it was either the Knicks or the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers were the most valuable franchise, and back then it was $2.6 billion was the value.
Right.
$2.6 billion, and that's 10 years ago. Right. Second was the Knicks. Third was Chicago Bulls. Fourth was Boston. Fifth was the Clippers.
Right. It's crazy that the Clippers are.
The Warriors weren't even a top 5 team, Red.
Yeah. Well, 10 years ago they weren't that. I don't know if they were that good either.
They were 7th 10 years ago. They were 7th. So the question is, who can be the next Warriors? Which team can create something special between now the next 3, 4, 5 years to boost that evaluation to be a top 1 or 2 team? Because it's been Knicks and Lakers for a while. What's your thoughts on this top 5 that CNBC put out in February?
Well, to answer your question, I would say that San Antonio is probably the team that I would say their valuation will go through the roof. Sporting events are spectacles, and when you have someone like a Wemby who is 7'3" tall, that is the ultimate spectacle. People want to see that. These ultimately are entertainment events, right? These are not situations just purely about who wins and who loses. With that being the case, to the list, Golden State Warriors have somebody who is very relatable to most American homes, in my opinion. It's much easier to create a Steph Curry than it is to create a Giannis, right? In terms of stature, look, we're talking about an individual in Steph Curry who's typical. He's the kid next door, so to speak, right? He's a killer, don't get me wrong, on the basketball floor, that is, but he's definitely somebody that's relatable. And when you have relatable things that can do spectacular things, again, it's a spectacle. People want to come out and see the games. I think that there is also another factor that we have to think about. The Bay Area is super expensive to live, and then you have to have money to be up there. So when you have money in those places, people spend money. And I guess the rule in business itself is to sell to the rich. New York is second. That's also a place that's super expensive to live. So again, the Los Angeles Lakers are third. Los Angeles is another one of those cities. Now, there's a fall off of about $1.2 billion between the Lakers and the Bulls. I think the Bulls have been, because of the Michael Jordan effect and all that he brings, and the city of Chicago is a finance city. There's a lot of money that is flowing through that town from a financial institution standpoint, right? And the south and west sides of that town are rough, but the downtown and north sides and suburbs of Chicago are well-to-do at the very least. I think there's a lot that goes into this list. I think that a lot of this has to do with demographic, where these teams sit geographically. But I also think that it's a situation where they've had either a player or multiple players. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I can't phony kick it. I don't know why the hell Houston is on this list. I don't know how they got here. I don't understand that for the life of me. But shout out to their owner for, I believe he's a restaurateur.
Yeah, Tillman Fertitta.
Fertitta. So my understanding is that he's a restaurateur, and he also owns, I believe, the Golden Nugget, if I'm not mistaken, in Las Vegas, in the hotels and hospitality and things of that nature. I know he's not complaining, I'll tell you that much. So,
That's a really good point. Houston was never a bottom 10 team of value. They were always within top 10 from a decade ago, right? Maybe very strong market, like you mentioned. But these evaluations we have to consider is that it also counts non-NBA events if the ownership group owns the arena. So understanding that, as an owner of these teams, some of these team owners also own where they play.
Okay.
For example, Chicago, Houston have had $402 million in revenue. However, Boston Celtics have more revenue than those two teams, but they're ranked 7th. And that's because of debt value and so forth. You know what I mean? Being more or less or different. So they have different measurements. But to be honest, from 4th to 8th, which you're seeing, the numbers are pretty close. 0.1 is the difference respectfully from 4th to 8th, which is Chicago, Houston, Brooklyn, Boston, and the Clippers.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So all those teams are pretty much, in my opinion, even though they're ranked differently, of course, some 0.1 billion is obviously a big difference. I'm just saying that all these teams are going to be up there. Now, the Spurs, though, just so you're aware, they're actually a 21st most valued franchise at $3.7 billion. So in 10 years, where do you see that valuation jumping to? Outside, of course, the media rights, in comparison to other teams.
Well, if you count inflation and the fact that they have a budding, of course he's a budding star, but he is, he's bigger than life. Literally, I think that they're probably going to be up around that, maybe $11-12 billion range 10 years from now.
Okay.
I would imagine.
Okay, so, that's fair. I mean, they were ranked 11th, just so you know. Their value was 11th back in 2015 at $1 billion. So their value has increased by $2 billion in the last 10 years. They were 11th and they've dropped to 21.
Well, so, I mean, they've been pretty bad too.
Exactly. As I was saying, they've been pretty bad. So having a star was definitely going to help them, right?
Well, let me say this too. Even when they had stars, their championship runs were the least watched, right? Their finals runs were the least, or they have one of the ones that was the least watched. And that's not to say that Tim Duncan wasn't a great player. That's not to say that David Robinson wasn't a great player. People just didn't watch him.
Mm-hmm.
San Antonio is a phenomenal town, in my opinion. I love San Antonio, but it's a small town. That's not a major market. To go back to something that you said earlier, though, about owning the arenas, the Lakers don't own Staples Center. That's Staples Center.
But their value is still high without even owning it. That's
That's
why
what
I
I'm
say,
saying.
like,
Like, yeah,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I was going to say that there's a couple different things that you would have to look at. I mean, if you win, I don't know how many championships they've won, but a ton of them.
17, I think.
Yeah,
17.
something along those lines. You know, I think that definitely adds value, and they've had a lot of stars and a lot of star power, and a lot of those stars are still influential in those organizations or in that organization today. Magic Johnson, Kareem is still going and hanging out at the games. Those two players themselves are in most people's top 5. It might even be top 3, depending on who you ask and what generation you ask. So I think a lot of that goes into that as well.
No, that's a great point. And y'all, as we transition out of this topic, it's so funny you mentioned a lot of stars and stardom. Now my answer to the question I asked you about who would be the next Warriors taking over the list to be number 1 is a team that hasn't come out yet, Ran. I'm gonna put it out there. The Vegas team. Whenever they come out. And I'm assuming LeBron will be the owner of that team. I'm gonna guess that they're gonna be a top team evaluation in the league.
Well, we'll see. We'll
yeah.
see. We'll see.
Because I think, again, this is just my hypothesis, right? When Vegas team comes out and just looking at the NHL team, how successful they were when they started, looking at the Vegas Aces, how successful they were quickly when they started. Vegas has a good run of when a new franchise starts there, they're either winning a chip within the first 3-4 years and they're having big stars. I'm just going to guess the Vegas team that the NBA will open up at least within the next, hopefully like 4 or 5 years. So let's see.
Right.
But, congrats to the teams. And I do want to have some context. Forbes did have a list that that came out last year, ran in the fall, in November. And their top 5 was the Warriors, the Knicks, the Lakers. That's all consistent on every list. But 4th and 5th was Boston, Clippers. Chicago was 6th, and Houston was 7th, with Brooklyn Nets 8th, Dallas 9th, and Philadelphia being 10th.
How the Houston Rockets stay at the top the way that they have, but shout out to Hakeem Olajuwon, Moses Malone, Clyde Drexler, Calvin Murphy, and Elvin Hayes, and even James Harden. Like, they must have had an impact. Oh man, I forgot. Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady played down there. I believe Tracy McGrady still lives in that area, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to all those guys, man, for holding it down over there for the Houston Rockets, man. It's going to be good. I think it'd be even better if they had their WNBA team back too.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for. I saw Kevin Durant wants to start a team in Austin, and everyone was saying, no, the first team that has to come back, it has to be Houston. Dallas got their team. A team has to go in Houston. And I do believe that the Houston owner, he actually put a bid in to get a team. And a news came out that it's going to Cleveland. I just hope that that's not true. Again, Cleveland, yes, you guys should get a team. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a team. I'm just saying what's really important is getting that Houston team back. They have so much legacy on that team. That was my team growing up. So I would love to have them get a team back. But of course, Detroit get a team back, Cleveland. I'm not saying you guys should not have a team. I just think Houston needs to get a team right away. And they have the money. And clearly, economically, the market loves them. And they love basketball. So it only makes sense. Speaking of what money loves, we're heading to our next segment for the culture. Okay, culture. And I'm so excited. The NAACP, they have or will be rewarding the Wayans family as Image Awards Hall of Fame. The Wayans family is so monumental, instrumental in all of our upbringing, right? I used to watch all their shows, and I still do. Which members of the family will be inducted? Keenan Ivory Wayans, Damon Wayans Sr., Marlon Wayans, Sean Wayans, Kim Wayans, Damon Wayans Jr. will all be inducted into the NAACP Image Awards Hall of Fame. Now, for decades, this family have really impacted a lot of folks in the Black community, Caribbean community, African community, any community of Nubia, we call it, right? And I think it's so amazing because before In Living Color, which is a show that I was introduced to this family, I remember I used to just sit there, watch it. I used to try to copy all the dance moves. I was like a fly girl. I loved all the skits. So many stars came from the show. So many stars from the show are still acting and still working in the industry. Some of them have their own TV show. They're movie stars now. They've really paved the way and helped elevate a lot of people. This family, and I think, is so deserving of it. And I love the fact that we can highlight them today for the culture, because it is Black History Month. But as you know, Good Rookies, it's Black History Month every day here. What's your thoughts, Ren, on this family's impact, them getting into the Hall of Fame during Black History Month, but also like just how much excellence they've shown? What's your thoughts on their impact on pop culture? You got it, Ren.
Well, I think the first thing is that we got to say NAACP. You were putting
NAACP. What did I say?
I don't know what you were saying. It wasn't NAACP though.
That's what I said. I said NAACP.
No, you didn't. You said NA something or something.
No, I didn't. I said NAACP.
You were scratching. You were in that. You were definitely on the turntables on the ones too. See?
I said NAACP.
I think that first to what you said, I don't know that I can think of a family that had more of an impact on me in terms of humor, laughter, and Living Color is a staple of my childhood. Came on like once a week and everybody was kind of tuned in. This was when things were not streamed. This is when you had to be at home to catch whatever to see it. I remember all of us running home to watch it and then coming back outside. And I don't even know if that comedy was for us as kids, right? I don't even know if it was the comedy that we were supposed to be listening to. But even with that being said, I want to read some titles, right, of, how excellently funny they were. Excellently funny they were for the culture. And Living Color, obviously, aired for 4 years, 1990 to 1994. Old Money was absolutely hilarious. Blank Man was one of those superhero parodies it wasn't a great film, but it was certainly funny in its own way, especially for children. Low Down Dirty Shame, again, it's one of those movies that is a staple in Black culture. Low Down Dirty Shame was the first time that most of us got a chance to really know and love Jada Pinkett, who was at the time, and maybe even today, is considered one of the most beautiful of Black women. But she was rivaled in that film by Sally Richardson, who at the time was considered one of the most beautiful Black women on the planet. Both of those women were in that movie. The Wayans brothers with Sean and Marlon. Scary Movie turned out to be.
I love Scary Movie. Oh my gosh.
My Wife and Kids with Damon Wayans.
Mm-hmm.
Who I thought was the funniest of all those guys and girls. White Chicks was hilarious.
Classic
film, right? Classic film. It bridged the gap in its own way. It bridged the color gap, right? You have white people and Black people laughing at the same jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like it really bridged the gap, which is something that I think culture needs, right? Our culture, especially in the Americas, we definitely need more stuff that everybody can laugh at. The Wayans brothers came on Channel 9 in Chicago forever, man. That was like, it was like back to back, and got a chance to see so many comedians on there. And then their collaborations, that's their stuff. Now they did collaborations like Norbit with Eddie Murphy, other films they've done with Eddie Murphy, who I believe is the king of comedy, right? I believe that he is the king of comedy from my perspective. Just my opinion. I'm not saying that.
Let's not start that debate today.
I know that's
another
right.
Conversation. Yeah,
I know that's right. But Eddie Murphy for me is the guy, and they were
showing your age.
That's crazy. They did collaborations with him that I thought were, again, hilarious. Norbit being one. You know what I mean? So again, I think that they're more than deserving, and especially for the culture. But it's also what they fought for. They fought for inequality. They fought for pay scale. They fought for the right to be artists. You know what I mean? The right to develop, the right to do it their way without somebody standing over their shoulder and telling them they have to do it another way. They fought for the inequality when it came to awards like this one, right? So shout out to the NAACP. The NAACP.
I know. Okay, so as you were talking, I think I said NA
Yeah, exactly.
But
I
to
was gonna
me,
let you have it.
in my thought, it was NAA. So I'm thinking NA double. Like I'm doubling the A's.
Right, yeah, don't double
the
that
double. Listen, if the double comes before or after, it doesn't matter. It's a double thing.
Yeah, don't let the black folk down here hear that. You know what I'm saying? NAACP.
I'm not going to start commenting. Well, folks, okay, the NAACP, the NAACP, however you want to say it, okay? I'm going to fight for the right to say it the way you want to say it, okay? But the NAACP Awards, no, You really, as you're going through the shows, I was like, wow, yes, hit. One show you did not mention, which I thought Damon Wayans Jr., I thought he was the funniest on the show, was New Girl. It's also a show that Prince was actually on. Oh, Damon Wayans Jr., on that show, like before he came on the show, it was funny. But when he came on, oh my gosh, he had a gift, like his uncles and his dad, of voices, impersonation.
Yeah.
He's really smart, but really funny as hell. Right. And I was like, okay, now I see it. I see the Wayans influence on him. Nah, I mean, of course, Kim, with the cigarette outside, talking to her homegirl, gossiping about people. Like, I can sit down and just laugh at all the skits, to your point. Staple. Now, guys, back in the day, there was commercial breaks, and you couldn't forward or rewind. You had to sit through it, and you had to be in front of the TV at a time, because if you didn't, you'd miss the start and ending. No, but you're right. And let me call it right. They gave the industry, said, you know what? We can produce success. We can have our own show. And it gave people like, Dave Chappelle and other artists, comedians who actually came out, Jimmy Fox, Jim Carrey, like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Think about that. Think about Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey
got his start. Well, his not his start, but he hit with them. You know what I mean? Yes. Like he was like hit with them. Jamie Foxx, much the same. J-Lo.
Fireman Marshall, whatever it's called, was the Fireman?
Yeah, but think about this. J-Lo. We don't have a J-Lo.
No, no J-Lo.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many. And then the fact that at the end of their shows, they brought out hip hop artists, man, and let them perform.
That's right.
And, you know what I mean? That was just, culturally, they were just so influential in terms of how,
What was hip? Like, what was hip?
What was hip?
I had no clue what was hip and what was going on in the culture before that show. You kind of watch movies, but they brought it all together.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
Sure did,
yeah.
man. I'm really proud of that for them. Again, like I think that that we all experience blackness differently, because in my opinion, you know what I mean, black is a culture more than it is just how dark your skin is or how pure black you are, right? So those who participate in the culture, they are a big part of that culture, and they were, instrumental in a lot of our developments as people and how we see ourselves and how we laugh and joke. And let me tell you something, to you know what I'm saying, like all of these things just kind of like influence like how we feel about each other. The Jerry curl and Keenan putting on one and all the rest of that in the skits and things of that nature. Homosexuality, you know what I mean, and the LGBTQ community, when they would do the movie deal with the two brothers and all the rest of that kind of stuff, the way they were able to, it wasn't the two brothers, one of the brothers, but the way that they were able to, put that together. David Griffin, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was so many. And
even like, what was it, the ugly face that Fox would do? Like, how many like influencers today have millions of followers because they put on, a woman wig and impersonate women? Like, Jimmy Fox was a part of that. Without him, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things. The clown skit with Damien. Homie the clown. Like, come on, man.
Oh, God. Oh.
Fire Marshal Bill. Jim.
How many kids?
Power.
Wanda.
Listen, Wanda. Oh, my gosh. That's her name. Wanda.
How many times were your brothers or your cousins or whoever, or even you, was stuffing socks in the sock and whacking somebody else over the top of the head, talking about homie don't play that, like
homie don't play that,
you know what I'm saying? Like, so again, like they're super influential in the culture, you know what I mean? And I think I'm really proud of them in that space. Not that they need me to be, but I'm really, really proud to be a part of that culture. Culturally, they don't, they're one of the families that, if not they reign supreme as a family in comedy. You know what I mean? And I don't know that anybody's done it the same way that they have. So they need to be, all of them need to be inducted, in my opinion, and with this Image Award. So shout out to them for that.
Thank you for all you've done for all of us across the world to find our voices, right? And to allow comedy to come into our homes, and of course influencing so many other comedians that we all love today. So big up to you guys. Big up to you for the culture. Okay, so last but not least, y'all, that's absurd. So Red, this topic is a top absurd topic. Now the NFL always doing, big up to NFL, by the way. they're always doing some type of nonsense, right? We always find fines and things they do every year that's so absurd. But this one is probably one of the most absurd things I've seen. So the Texans running back, Joe Mixon, he was fined twice. He was fined once for something another player said on social media, and he was fined for his response to the fine that wasn't even anything he said, like, that was against any type of NFL rule.
Right.
So let me just break it down for y'all. He was fined for something another player said. It was the Bengals wide receiver, TJ Zeta. Thank you. An actual comment on social media where he said, "Why play in the game if every 50 over 50 call goes with Chiefs?" Then he wrote, "These officials are trash and biased." He wrote that. But for some reason, the NFL fined Joe Mixon. Now, I know we don't all look alike. If you look up Joe Mixon and TJ, they don't look alike either. So that was weird. The second fine came when Joe Mixon made a comment, and he was like, "So let me get this straight. NFL fines me $25K for something I didn't even say." Called them out for it, and their response was, "Fine me again for something that's not even a violation without even rescinding the first one. Where's the accountability? Just respect the players." Cold world emoji was what he wrote. So they fined him for this comment, Rand. Everybody knows how it is playing up here. You can never leave it into the ref's hands. The whole world sees, man, what it is. When it comes down to it, you can never leave it into the ref's hands. It's all good though. He got fined for that. So he gets fined for another player commenting. Then he gets fined for saying something that I don't think is a violation. They fined him $50,000. 2 fines. Now, luckily, they were both rescinded, but NFL, that's absurd. What?
Yeah, it is.
Thoughts on this?
Well, again, I think that there's we're missing I want to bring light to a couple different issues. So the agency that he was with, I don't know if he's still with them or not, but was with, I have a really, really close friend. And when he was coming out and he was getting ready for the draft process, I don't know if everybody remembers this or if anybody remembers, he could not go to the NFL Combine because of something that happened to him in his freshman year. He got into an altercation with a woman, and there was a video that was leaked. A young lady, I believe, hit him in the back of the head or something along those lines, and then he turned around and he hit her, right? So she struck him, he struck her, and I think he ended up knocking her out or something like that. It was a pretty bad scene, and it was right around the time that the NFL was trying to adjust trying to overcorrect for what happened with Ray Rice, right? They saw the video, didn't find him. The video comes out, then they suspend him after not finding him, not doing anything at all. Oh, Joe Mixon, in a lot of ways, his career has been marred by that incident, right? Now, big picture, everybody needs to keep their hands to themselves. She needed to keep her hands to herself. He needed to keep his hands to himself, right? But every time Joe Mixon does something, right, I believe that, or anytime he's in the media, that incident plays back in everybody's head. I know it plays back in my head because of what I saw in that video. Whether he was right for trying to defend himself or not, right? The way it played out was really, really nasty. I think that in the NFL subconscious, I believe that incident led to this incident of them finding him twice over something that was not even finable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then turning around and correcting by saying, okay, we're not gonna find you at all, and find him the absolute max. Now, what he said about the team playing up there in Kansas City, again, Kansas City's my team, and I don't want to hear that BS. You know what I mean? Just win. You know what I mean? Like, the Kansas City Chiefs had a lot of wins this year based on mistakes by other teams. There wasn't always some referee calling. There was botched field goals. There was, what else? Fumbles at the last second, missed passes, interceptions, all kinds of stuff. Block kicks, like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was a lot of things that happened. So I don't want to hear just win. I don't want to hear the bitching and complaining. Win. If you win, then you ain't got to worry about what happens up there in Arrowhead Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Just go up there and win, handle your business, and that's that. Philadelphia did it. Philadelphia beat them handily. So again, like, if I'm looking at it from that perspective, I don't want to hear that.
I get that point, but I don't understand how they're finding him for a social media post that another player wrote. That's what I find absurd. This is a wide receiver.
Well, that
His
part,
name is not even close to Mixon, but for some reason,
that part I don't know.
you would think the NFL would investigate, oh, a player from the Bengals made this comment on this social media post. Someone in the NFL office would investigate which page this is. Like, oh, who owns this page?
I think there's a little bit of not even a little bit, but $50,000 worth of overcorrections that they tried to implement on him that had nothing to do, one of those had nothing to do with him at all. And you can't find TJ Hughes-Mazzulla because he's been retired for at least 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
I can't even say the man's name. I'm like, TJ. Oh, I'm so sorry, TJ, bro. Your last name, I apologize.
Hughes-Mazzulla.
Yeah, I was like, he still be playing? But yeah, you're right. It is something that's, I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? In sports, Nelly, you know what I mean? There's a lot of the narratives play louder than the actual games. The backstories and who a guy's dating, who a woman is dating in the WNBA. You know, their lives off the court are equally as important or more important than the lives on the court or on the field. And I think that's something that has played out with Joe Mixon. Although he was really, really good this season, though. He was really good running back this season.
Yeah, the year I had him, he was good. Then he got hurt, and then I was mad.
Yeah. That's a fact. In fantasy, talking about in fantasy?
Yeah, man. A couple of years ago, I was like, come on, Joe. I drafted you, man. Come on. Come on. Thank you again for that insight. I wasn't aware of that incident at all. So you definitely dropped educating me on that incident as to what happened with him. Well, Joe Mixon, we're happy that you got the fines rescinded and the NFL was able to at least admit that they were dead wrong for thinking you were TJ. Absurd. All right, y'all. This week's shout out, I'm just going to be very quick with mine. I want to shout out the Unrivaled League. This is a new league that came out in January. If you're following, they had the 1 versus 1. They have 3 versus 3. They're literally kind of changing the format of how we consume basketball. But also, like, this is a league that is also owned by players, and players get a share of the profits, which I think is really dope. So big up to Unrivaled. We have 2 players, Natasha Cloud and Stewie. What's her name? I'm saying Natasha Cloud. I just literally looked at her name. Nafisa Collier. Thank you, Nafisa. She's the owner. They founded this league. But I do want to big up because she's wants to recruit Caitlin Clark. And I do believe if they get Caitlin in this league next year, that would be phenomenal. So really looking forward to what's next. But the league is ending in a month. So the last playoff finals will begin in March 17th. And then right after that, a month later, it's WNBA. So this is keeping fans engaged in women basketball in America, and I love it. Because now from January, we can watch women's basketball up until the finals, right? And I think that's really important to help grow the sport altogether. So big up to Unrivaled for, contributing more to women's basketball. Because it's been great. Anyway, that's my shout out, Rand. What about you? What's your shout out?
You said you was gonna be quick. I don't know how quick that was, but shout out to the Run Sports, man. Shout out to the Run Sports, therunsports.com. Make sure that you guys go and visit the website. Follow the Run Sports at the Run Sports on all platforms. Check that out. Also, shout out to Mobile Rand, yours truly.
Yourself.
Who is daily basis is putting on a morning show on X. So if you want to check that out, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're up on your way to work, moving around, taking care of the kids, or just at home being a bum, come through. We do recaps on all the games the night before or the weekend before. So come on through, check that out.
Awesome. I love that. Very good content. I believe you dropped a new article around Wemby, and you actually have some really good historical information about past players like Wemby, what has happened, what we've seen. So definitely recommend everyone to go on the Run Sports and read that article about Wemby's injury, but what can we expect, right, based on what we've seen in the past. Big up to you, the Run Daily. I think it's great. So yeah, thank you for checking us out, guys. Good Rookies Show. We're at all platforms, all podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us speak about sports and culture. All right, y'all. Thanks once again, and we out.